Welcome to Small Town Whispers, where history, folklore, and the paranormal collide. I'm Bethany Yucuis Borden, and I lived in Watseka, Illinois from 1988 to 1999. For over a decade, I walked the same streets, saw the same houses, and even had friends connected to the story we're about to dive into. This isn't just history for me, it's personal. Welcome back, everyone. I've noticed quite a few of you have been catching up on part 3 lately, and I have to say, that makes me even more excited to keep moving through this story together. Because now, we're stepping into the stretch of this case that made the Watseka Wonder so famous in the first place. The year is 1878. It's February. Lorancy Venom, after months of illness, strange episodes, and being confined by her own family, is about to leave her home and walk into another. The home of Asa and Ann Roff. Mary Roff had died on July 5th, 1865, and now, somehow, she's preparing to return, not as she once was, but in the body of Lorancy Venom, ready to be reunited with the family she left behind. After that quiet but unsettling tea at the Venom home, Anne told Asa everything, and Asa, now 60 years old, hesitated. He remembered Mary's strength, the way her fits once overtook her. The idea of welcoming that back into his home wasn't a simple decision, but after much thought, he agreed. And just like that, the decision was made. February 11th, 1878, a Monday. Mary Roff came home again. And that's where we return to the book Watseka, America's Most Extraordinary Case of Possession and Exorcism, on page 210. Welcome home, Mary, Anne said. It's been a long time. Too long.
Nothing seems to have changed much. That picture over there, how I used to love it. Remember? And over there you still have that funny statue.
She ran over to the table and picked up the porcelain figure of George Washington.
Remember when that man had me do those things with this statue? Going out of the room and guessing what he did with it?
Before Anne could reply, or even get over her surprise that the incident should even be remembered, Lorancy said,
"Oh, but somebody broke it. Look, one of the horse's feet is missing. Who did that?"
"It was Charlie," Minerva said. "He knocked it over with his coat sleeve one day and it fell to the floor." Then she added, "You know Charlie, your brother?"
Of course I know my brother. My baby brother. How is he? Where is he? Oh, Ma, I'm so anxious to see the boys again.
"Well, Joe and Fen aren't here anymore," Minerva said. "Joe married a girl from New Jersey, and he's living out there now. They have 2 little boys of their own. And Fen, he got married too. There was a girl at his school in Ohio, and he married her and is living in Cincinnati. They have 1 baby, a boy."
Little Fenton is married? Oh, Nervy, don't joke with me. Fen ain't no more than 9 or 10 years old. Why, I'm much older than he is, and I'm only 19. Come on, Nervy. Tell me where Joe and Fen are.
"They are married men now, Mary," Anne said. "They grew up and they went away to school and they got married." She had a puzzled expression on her face.
But how could they, Ma? Little Fen and even Joe?
"Time moved on when your time stopped. You are only 19 still. When you were here with us, you were 19. But where you were, there is no time. Joe and Fen got older." Indeed, we all got older. You've been lucky. You've stayed the same.
I suppose so, but it's all so strange. I mean, to come home and not be changed at all, and yet everyone around me is changed.
She sat down on the velvet sofa.
And Frank and Charlie? Have they also gotten married since I was gone?
I hope not, Anne laughed. Frank is but 18, and Charlie won't be 16 till July. No, don't make your brothers any older than they are. As it is, they think they're important men in the world. They play music, said Minerva. They have their own dance band, and they play for parties and weddings and things. They're real good, too. Frank plays trumpet, and Charlie plays the piano and the violin.
I used to play the piano. Ma, do you recall how Nervy and I would play the piano and Nervy would sing?
You remember that? Anne asked.
Of course I do. I used to play We Are Coming, Sister Mary. It was my favorite hymn. Remember?
Heavens, Minerva said. I hadn't thought about that song in years. I'd play it and you'd sing it, and we would have such a good time. Laurency jumped up and looked into the front room.
Ma, the piano ain't here anymore. What did you do with the piano?
She went over to the far wall.
It used to sit right here. What happened to it?
It's in Charlie's room now, Anne replied. We thought it best to move it there when he started practicing so much. Anyway, he's been playing all those new waltz tunes, and they upset your father because the boys hold the girls when they dance.
Is Pa becoming an old fuddy-duddy? You know, where I've been, there's the most beautiful music. It don't sound as if it's being played on anything you ever heard before, but it's there. In fact, it's all around, and you don't get tired of it neither.
Harps? Asa suggested.
Oh, Pa, harps? You people on this side have some of the silliest notions. Harps. And they don't fly around with wings either.
What is it like over there? Anne asked. You know, child, we are all so curious. Really?
I wish I could explain it, Ma. I wish I could describe it the way you can understand it, but I don't think I can. It's so different.
In what way? Asa sat in his favorite chair, ready to have heaven explained to him. Asa, Anne said quickly, don't overtire the girl. She just got here, and I'm sure we're going to have lots of time.
No, we're not, Ma. We don't have lots of time.
What do you mean?
I mean that I won't be here with you forever.
But
when this body is well, and when the Venom girl's mind is well, I'll be leaving you again. After all, I only came here for as long as it was necessary to help her. As soon as they tell me she's healthy again, I'll have to go back over there.
Oh, Mary! Anne hadn't expected this. Not so soon, anyway. But will you be with us for a bit? I mean, you aren't going to leave this very day or anything.
No, Ma.
She put her arm around the woman.
I'll be here for a while longer. Don't ask me for how long, but it will be more than just a few days. Anyway,
she said, laughing and squeezing Anne's shoulders.
Let's be happy that I came back at all. Let's not spoil it by worrying about the future. The present is the most important thing right now. The important thing is that I've been permitted to come back again. There aren't many people who've been given that special privilege. Really, it doesn't happen all the time.
I know, but it would be so nice if you could stay forever.
Ma, nothing is forever. If I've learned one thing over there, it's that nothing lasts over here forever. It's always changing, and you have to change with it. Those who don't change don't grow. They say that change is as much of living as breathing is. They told me that people are not supposed to fight changes.
What kind of changes? Minerva asked.
Changes of any kind. Of loved ones, of money, and even...
She smiled and kissed Anne's gray hair.
Of getting old. It's all part of their plan.
Whoever they are, said Asa.
Yes, Pa. Whoever they are. I really can't tell you who they are because I'm not sure myself, but I do know one thing. They have everything carefully worked out in advance. We have to follow their plans.
And if we don't? Asa asked.
Disaster, Pa. Personal disaster.
Are you telling me we don't have any control over our own lives? Asa questioned further.
We have control in the beginning.
In the beginning?
In the very beginning. Before we even come into this world.
She smiled.
I wish you could be over there for some of the lessons.
I wish I could be too, he said, but I'd like to return to my own home each time school was dismissed for the day.
Oh, Pa. Over there, they say that before we decided to come back into this life, we already knew what we had to do and how we had to do it.
Now you're preaching reincarnation, Asa said. We never taught you that.
There was lots you didn't teach me, but I've had time to learn where I've been.
We choose what we want to do? Minerva was uncertain what that meant.
Yes. Before we return to Earth in a new body, we decide who our parents are to be so they can give us the proper start on the path we have to follow.
You mean I chose Ma and Pa before I was born? Minerva asked.
Yes, you did.
Like you chose the Venoms? It was out before Minerva had a chance to think what she was saying.
I didn't choose the Venoms. That girl chose them. I chose Ma and Pa, just like you did. I would never have chosen those people for my folks. But the Venom girl did. Obviously, there was a reason she had to live with them, but something went wrong. That's the part I don't understand. I can't explain how things go wrong when it has been so perfectly set up in the beginning. I mean, why?
If that girl hadn't taken sick, you wouldn't have been able to return to us. Perhaps your job wasn't quite finished when you left so suddenly. If there is a master plan to it all, your returning must be a part of it, Asa volunteered. Mrs. Roff, a voice called from the kitchen. Lorancy's expression changed instantly.
Lucy! I forgot all about Lucy!
She ran through the parlor doors into the hall and directly into the kitchen. She stopped. Instead of the African woman she had expected to embrace, she saw a tall, thin, blonde woman.
Lucy? Hello. Where's Lucy?
Her ma was right behind her. Lucy isn't with us anymore, Mary. She left here to go with her husband right after the war.
Oh, but I so wanted to see Lucy.
Lorancy's chin began to tremble.
I had so much to tell her.
She went away right after you did, Anne said softly. Her man came for her, and they were married. Then she moved to Canada. We still hear from her every now and then. She has 3 little babies of her own now.
3 little Lucy's. I'd love to see her again and see the babies. Do you think we could go there one day before I leave and see her? Do you think we could do that, Ma? Oh, I'd really love it. There are so many things I have to tell her.
We'll see. Maybe your pa could make some arrangements. But now I want you to meet Charlotte. The blonde woman extended her hand. Charlotte, this is my daughter Mary. You know, she said, looking the woman squarely in the face. The daughter I told you about? The one who has been away for so long. Pleased to meet you, Miss Mary, the woman said. Your ma has told me a lot about you. I hope we can be friends.
Oh, I'm sure we can. It's just that I was expecting to see my Lucy. I'm sorry if it sounds as if I'm disappointed at seeing you here instead. It's nothing personal, really.
I know, the woman assured her. Your ma told me all about you and all about Lucy. I hope you are happy to be back here. Charlotte had heard all about Crazy Rancy from the other cooks and maids in town. She liked the Roffs and the pay, but she was ready to leave if she needed to. She had seen the Crazies in Germany, and she wanted no part of that. Your ma tells me you like stuffed chicken and dumplings, she said, trying to smile for the benefit of her employer. And I made them special for you tonight.
Thank you. But please don't worry about me and food. I won't eat anything for a while.
Not eat? The cook's voice rose. I made the dumplings just for you.
No, thank you. I mean, thank you. But I'm not eating any food at all.
But you'll get sick and starve, the woman protested.
I'll be all right. I go to heaven for my tea.
And what is that supposed to mean? She said.
That I get my nourishment in heaven.
She smiled.
You'll see. So please don't fuss about any special food for me. I mean it.
Nothing? The cook looked at this crazy girl and then back at Anne. I'm to fix nothing for her? Nothing at all? In the beginning, Anne said, let's just see what happens. You can set her plate at the table, and if she eats, fine. If she doesn't, that will be her affair. All right, missus. You just let me know when I should start adding enough for one more person. The crazy Venom girl could starve for all she cared. Just let me know. That's all I ask. I shall, Anne replied. You don't worry about it. I won't, Charlotte said, and she meant it. A little later, Lorancy was sitting in the parlor with Nervy and the Roffs. Frank and Charlie came through the door, put their books on the hallway table, brushed back their hair with spittle on their palms, and entered the room. Larancy looked up, startled by the intruders. She rose halfway, was about to say something, and then turned to Anne.
Ma, is this Frank and Charlie? Grown so big and tall. I never would have known you.
Anne nodded. She rushed toward them and threw her arms around Frank and then around the younger boy. She kissed them on the cheeks and forehead. The boys pulled away, embarrassed at being hugged and kissed by crazy Rancy, and in front of their parents, too.
Oh, Frank and Charlie, just think how wonderful it is to see you again.
Minerva came to their rescue. Haven't they grown, Mary? I didn't think you'd recognize them.
They shot up like weeds in a bean patch. And so handsome, too.
She put herself between them, linking arms.
And I've so much to tell you both. Some of the things I've seen and the places I've been. Just think, it's been 12 years since I last saw you.
And she pulled away to gaze at them again.
12 years!
Both Frank and Charlie wanted to say it hadn't been but about 2 months since they had last seen her, but Anne's wagging finger reminded them to keep from mentioning it. It's good to see you too, Mary, Frank said, looking at his mother for a sign of approval, which he got. Yes, Mary, added Charlie. It's nice to have you home again. Been an awful long time.
Too long. Much too long. But we'll make all that up, won't we? We have lots of time to talk before I go away again. Dear Frank, do you still like to watch the ants and the bees?
Huh?
I was just recalling with the folks how you used to spend so much time at the riverbank watching the ants and trying to catch honeybees so they didn't sting you. And you, Charlie, oh, you were such a little tyke then. None of the other boys wanted you to go fishing with them because you would throw stones and twigs in the river and scare away the fish. Do you recall that?
Frank was amazed. Yes, he said quickly. I do remember looking at ants and insects while Joe and Fen were fishing. That's great. Ma, that's really great that she would know a thing like that. She doesn't know it. She is remembering it. There's a difference. She felt she had to give them further instructions. This is your sister Mary, who has been away for 12 years. You were both little shavers when she went away. I'm not surprised you don't remember her, but don't be surprised that she remembers you. Is that clear? Their father asked. Yes, sir, that's clear, they replied almost in unison. But Mary, if you've been away so long, then you must have a great deal to tell us. Frank was warming up to the idea of having someone who had been to heaven tell them all about it. Is it everything they say it is? Over there?
Everything and more. But you folks have a lot of funny ideas about it that will have to be cleared up.
Will you tell us about it? He asked. I mean, really tell us. I'm dying to know. That's pretty good, put in Charlie. He's dying to know, and most people have to die to know. Do you get it, Ma? Frank said he was dying to know. I got it, said Anne sternly, but I didn't appreciate it. She rose from the sofa. I'm sure supper is on the table by now. Let's all wash our hands and then sit down to eat. We can talk later. She took Larancy's arm and went into the dining room. Here, Mary, dear, you sit beside me. She pointed to a place setting, and Larancy pulled out the chair and sat down. In a few minutes, the others were at the table, hands washed and heads bowed. Oh, Father, Asa prayed, we thank thee for this food tonight, and we especially thank thee for bringing our daughter and sister Mary back to us, even if it's only for a little while. We missed her, and we love her, and we welcome her back at our home and at our table. I'll admit that we don't understand what has happened or even why it's happened, but we thank thee for it. We thank thee and ask thee to let our happiness continue as long as possible. And Lord, he added, look after Larancy Venom. The boys opened their eyes to catch the girl's reaction. Rancy's head was bowed. Take care of her body, cleanse her mind, make her well and whole, and deliver her safely to her parents again. Thank you. Amen. He opened his eyes and raised his head. Now we can all eat.
That was a very nice prayer, Pa. I'm sure it will do Larancy a great deal of good, wherever she is.
When Chris and I stayed in the Roth home in Watseka last October, I was under the impression that it was the house Mary lived in when she was alive. Later, I found out that Mary, in her own body, never lived at 300 East Sheridan. However, it is the house that Lorancy came to live in once Mary took over her body. The weird audio recordings I shared in episode 9 were from the room they believe Lorancy slept in. When we visited the house, I was there for leisure and not for an investigation, even though I was open to anything happening. I was taking the audio recordings on my phone mainly to commemorate our experience and possibly to use for the podcast. We took a lot of pictures and videos because it is a gorgeous Victorian home. I do hope to go there again one day with more people, more equipment, and more of a plan to collect evidence and communicate. Our guest on this week's Porchlight Whispers segment, Tom Stewart, is very familiar with investigating haunted homes and collecting evidence of paranormal activity. You can also visit his website, myparanormalstorypodcast.com. If you're like me and want to be like Tom when you grow up, grab his book, 10 Best Tools for Ghost Hunting, while you're on his website. Without further ado, let's step into the porchlight with Tom Stewart.
Now, join me under the porchlight, the place where memories meet the present and voices from the past still linger in the dark. Tonight, we listen, not to the pages from a book, but to the people who have felt the unexplained and found the courage to share it. Welcome to Porchlight Whispers.
I'm Bethany.
Nice to meet you, Bethany. I'm Tom.
Yeah, Tom, nice to meet you.
Thank you for checking out the podcast.
Thank you for putting it out there. It's so incredible to hear firsthand accounts of this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's fun telling my stories.
And you're from Rhode Island still?
I used to. I live in Massachusetts now.
Oh, Massachusetts. Okay.
Yep. Originally from Rhode Island, spent most of my life there, but I've been in Mass for about 8 years now.
It seems like New England is kind of a hot spot for activity. Have you found
that? It really
is. In growing up there? Like, what were some of your early experiences?
I think so. Well, I can remember just being a kid, and I spent a lot of time in cemeteries. And anytime a house, somebody said it was haunted, we would try to sneak into it. But also, I just loved the history of New England and the area, too. I just got really into all those different stories and legends and lore that happened all around the area, especially in Rhode Island. There's so many locations.
So did anything particularly weird happen in the cemeteries?
Oh, gosh, yeah. So many things. There was a cemetery near me in Providence, Rhode Island called Swan Point Cemetery. Still there. Huge, huge, huge cemetery. And it's got graves going back to like the 1700s in it. But it's still a modern day cemetery. There's still people being buried there. That's how large it is. One of the interesting stories was there's a tomb called the Sprague Tomb, which was a former governor of Rhode Island. And his family was very involved in many of the bigger businesses and politics of Rhode Island, back in like 1800s. And they have a huge tomb there with a lot of the family members are in it. And they were into a bit of black magic, witchcraft type stuff. And the way the tomb was designed on the top, the tomb was in a side of a hill, so it was underground. But if you went around and up the hill to the top, it was all bushes and trees up on top. And it looked very innocent, but it was actually formed like a 5-pointed star. There was 5 huge trees, and each tree trunk went up at one of the points of the star, so you could make a pentagram if you wanted to. And then around the outside of it was all like probably 10, 12 foot tall bushes. So the whole thing was like a cave. You could go in through the bushes into the middle where the tree trunks were, and it was just like a cave inside with the trees and the bushes all around you. And it was always cold in there. It was always dark in there, no matter what time of year or day it was. And you really could feel the difference when you went in there, too. It just felt like you were in a different place all of a sudden when you went in there. They ended up cutting one of the trees down because I guess they figured if they can't make the 5-pointed star, then they can't do their little seances or cast their spells. And all the local people who were into this stuff somebody would just stand on the stump and meditate and become that 5th point. Things like that would happen. My friend, his older brother, he had a dog, and this dog was very, very loyal dog, very well trained. But when we would go into those bushes, that dog would refuse to come in there. No matter what, whether his owner was calling him or not, that dog would not come. He would just run around barking on the outside, which was always pretty spooky.
And that did not deter you from going in?
No. You know what? I was a weird child, I guess, because things didn't scare me. things made me curious. There was this other time, there were a lot of rumors and stories about the cemetery having a tunnel system underneath it.
Oh.
I was a little kid. I bought into it. I still don't know to this day if it's real or not. But boy, being the Goonie that I was, I always wanted to find these tunnels. I wanted to explore these tunnels so bad. My friends and I, we knew this cemetery like the back of our hand. We would ride our bikes through there all the time because it's one of those cemeteries that looks like a park. And then one day, while we were riding our bikes in this one section that we didn't go to very often, I noticed another tomb in the side of a hill. There was quite a few of them in this cemetery. But this one looked different than the others because this one had like a few different bushes in front of the door as opposed to on the sides of it. And I thought that was strange. So I stopped to investigate it. And on the other side of the bushes was like a big wooden door that would go into the tomb, but it also had a gate across it, just like a metal gate, and it had an old padlock on it, like one of those old-fashioned padlocks. I was like, oh, this has got to be an entrance to the tunnel. So my friend and I were doing everything we could to get this thing open. We're hitting the lock with some rocks, and we're trying to pry it open. We can't get anywhere. And I remember looking down at my hands, and there's rust all over my hands from trying to pull on that gate and try to get that lock. So finally we decided, let's get on our bikes and just ride home and get some tools. We'll come back, we'll open this gate, we'll go in there. So we go back, we grab a duffel bag and we'd throw some screwdrivers and some like pry bars and ride all the way back to the cemetery. And then we go right back to the spot where the gate was, and the gate was gone. It wasn't there. The bushes were there. That hill was there. There was no longer a door there. There was no longer a gate. We were looking around like, are we sure this is the right spot? And we're like, this is definitely the right spot. There's no other spot. We still had the rust on our hands. Like we were pulling on some gate somewhere, and it was gone.
Whoa.
Yep. And we never found it ever again. And we searched day after day, after school, on the weekends. We're like, we got to find it. And we kept going back to that same spot, and it was never there again. It was like it gave us that one chance, and we couldn't get in.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Yeah.
As a young person, we're exploring cemeteries, and then I've listened to some of your podcasts, My Paranormal Story. I believe one of the first episodes you're talking about living on Cemetery Road.
Cemetery Street, but yes.
Street. Okay,
Yes.
Cemetery Street.
Yep, this is a real street in Providence, Rhode Island.
You weren't looking for that? It just like
I wasn't
fell
looking
in
for
place?
it. This was much later in life. I was probably in my younger 30s. A friend of mine lived in a house with some roommates, and the house was on Cemetery Street. It was literally across the street from a cemetery. Once I moved in, things started to happen to me in the bedroom upstairs that I was in. I would grab my clothes, go take a shower, come back into my bedroom, and all the drawers on my bureau would be pulled out.
Oh.
And both closet doors would be open, and I would never have left it that way. For me to have opened all 4 drawers, there's no need for that. You get what you need and you go.
Exactly.
So little things like that were like, well, that's weird. So I came home from work one day, I go into my bedroom, and I had 2 autographed baseballs. I had them in protective cubes, so it's not like they can roll. And I had them on the back of my bureau right up against the wall. And I came home from work one day, and both baseballs had been moved to the front of the bureau. Those little things, they started to add up a little bit. And then 2 things that were really startling happened. The first one it was probably about 1, 2 in the morning. I'm on my computer playing video games or whatever. And to my right, I had a mirror on legs, like a shovel mirror. It's like an oval mirror, and it's got 2 legs that come down to feet. The mirror pivots, like that. So as I'm sitting there at my computer, out of the corner of my eye, I can see the mirror all of a sudden start moving to the point where it's just about horizontal. And I'm just saying to myself, what is going on? So I go to lift it back up, and I remember thinking this to myself, I've seen this horror movie. I'm going to look in the mirror, and there's going to be something frightening standing behind me. I slowly put it back up, and I could tell it was still very tight. It wasn't loose. And I put it back up, but it wasn't a horror movie. There was nothing in the mirror. But that mirror still moved by itself. Probably one of the scariest experiences I've had. A few nights later, a week later, something like that, I'm laying in bed, and I feel something sit down on my bed. My roommate, her cat used to love to come into my bedroom, but then whatever it was that was on my bed, it wasn't the cat, because I felt it kind of crawl up the bed.
Oh.
And before I knew it, it was sitting on my chest. And when I opened my eyes, it was this old guy in like a black hat, old-time black hat, looked like a black suit jacket, and he was swinging at me, trying to punch me. Nothing was hitting me, but whatever was on top of me, I could feel it on my chest, and I could see him swinging. So I jumped out of bed, turned on the lights, and there was nothing there.
Oh my
There was
God.
no cat. There was no old guy. There was nothing. And I was like, whoa. When I asked my roommate for her to describe what she had seen in that room, she described the old man exactly. She told me that she would wake up in the middle of the night for no reason, and he'd be staring her right in the face.
Oh my gosh.
A few weeks later, more confirmation. I come home from work one day. My friend, he's sitting in the living room, and there's a guy in the living room. I don't know who he is, but he's about our age. My friend introduces me to him, says, "Hey, this is so-and-so, so-and-so, this is Tom." He's like, Tom is upstairs in your old bedroom. He used to live there at one time, too, as a roommate. And, like, the first thing he says to me is, "Oh, have you seen the old man yet?"
Oh my gosh.
I just feel like there was a spirit in that house that didn't want people there. When I did research on that area, the closest I could come was there was a man who owned a lot of that land where all these houses are now today, including the cemetery. The city wanted that land so that they could turn it into certain things, and he refused, and they ended up taking it by eminent domain from him.
Oh.
And so I guess there are some people who believe that he is haunting all the people who live on that property now. So it may not just be the one house I was in, it could be other houses too.
The Small Town Whispers team, we are interested in doing some Porchlight on-site segments. So we want to start traveling a little bit. And I wondered, since you have so much experience, if you have any advice for us as we go into locations and try to gather information.
I always tell people to approach with kindness, approach with, politeness, and you'll get good results that way if you're investigating.
I like that. Wow. Well, you're kind of living my dream, and you're truly an inspiration to keep going. Do you still do paranormal investigations?
Not as much as I used to. I might go out 2 or 3 times a year at the most nowadays, which is good because then I get to have another episode for my podcast when it happens too.
Yeah, so they're continuing to come out, right? You're continuing to
Yep.
Well, keep them coming. For anybody listening, you've got to go either to myparanormalstorypodcast.com, listen to his stories. He's got pictures and EVPs on his blog section. You can find all the episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And in addition, I know you're a comedian too. Do you have anything comedy-wise coming up?
I know I do a lot of fundraisers this time of year. I have a company, funnyforfunds.com, that I work with. And we do comedy shows to raise money for charities, youth sports leagues, PTOs, scouts, whatever. Parents have to do fundraisers for their kids' stuff. So we do comedy shows with them.
Thank you again so much. And I hope
Thanks for having me on.
I hope you have a great night, great rest of the week.
Thank you. You too. And I appreciate you inviting me on.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
That was this week's edition of Porchlight Whispers. Do you have an experience of your own to tell? We want to hear your stories. Share your experience and let your small town whispers become part of ours.
And with that, the porchlight dims, but the whispers stay with us. Join us again next time when another voice steps into the light.